And welcome back to Love Your Food. This week we have a great recipe for homemade hot wings. These are sort of buffalo inspired. We're also doing a creamy blue cheese dip to go with them. Now before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that we have an affiliate link with Chef's Temp. If you need a kitchen thermometer or meat probe, please check out the link in the description below and use code LOVEYOURFOOD on checkout for 15% off your order. We also have a Patreon if you'd like to support us there, but in the meantime, here's our ingredients. So we've got some chicken wings that we're going to sous vide cook. They're vacuum sealed in there. Some starch. We're using tapioca starch, but you can use whatever you like. Some blue cheese. Some mayonnaise. Some sour cream or yogurt. Some buttermilk. Some hot sauce. We're using our hot relish, but we're going to do something to it, and we'll show you that later. Some butter. Some vinegar. We're just using white vinegar. And some lemon juice. So first things first, we're going to cook our wings. So we've put these in vacuum packs here. We're just going to cook them sous vide at 165 for about an hour. And this is the sous vide method for deep frying, which we find works very, very well. While those are cooking, we're going to make our creamy blue cheese dressing. Now we've got Saint Agur here for the blue cheese. You may wish to use something a little crumblier. It's quite a creamy cheese, so it's a little harder to break up. Something crumblier might make it a little easier for this portion, but we manage. We get it into the buttermilk there and just get it all sort of broken up and spread apart. Going to add in the rest of the buttermilk. Now this is obviously a very creamy dressing. And we're going to get the buttermilk in there, followed by the mayonnaise. Oh, that's the yogurt. And you can use yogurt, you can use sour cream, whatever you have on hand. They're very, very similar in the end result. Some mayonnaise in there as well. That's just going to give it some body, some thickness. Now, ours came out actually quite loose at the end, so we probably would have cut down on the buttermilk and the yogurt and added the same amount of mayonnaise, just so it's a little thicker. In goes that lemon juice, so we just used the juice from a lemon in there. And we're just going to blend that until it's good and smooth, and it's a little better if it has a chance to sort of sit around and let all the flavors come together. So we put that in the fridge. Also makes a very decent salad dressing. And then we're going to do our hot sauce. Now, classic buffalo wings are a blend of Frank's Red Hot and butter. That's the sauce that goes on the outside. We didn't have Frank's Red Hot, so we're taking one of our homemade fermented hot pepper relishes here. Actually, we put a little bit of a blend in there. It's mostly one type, though. We mixed it with roughly an equal amount by weight or by volume of white vinegar. And we're going to just sort of hit this with the stick blender. And we're sort of making our own Tabasco or Frank's Red Hot with this. So we're just going to mix those together, give it a good blend, and then we're going to strain it. So we're trying to get all of the seeds and stuff out of there and the skin because this product, this relish that we make is quite chunky and it's got lots of little bits in it. So we're just running it through a strainer here. You can see a lot of the juice comes through right away. But what's also really nice is once you've got everything through there, you can see here we've got all the seeds and the skins left over. Once you've got everything through there and you get rid of all of that, there's still quite a lot of material on the outside of the strainer. And that's going to give this some body, right? Because Tabasco sauce is kind of thin. Frank's Red Hot does have a little bit of body to it, so we want some of that in there. So here's our wings. They have cooked. They cooked for an hour, and then we let them sit, and they got back down to roughly room temperature. So we're going to take that out of the bag, and they are cooked perfectly. They're cooked all the way through 165, right through. You don't have to worry about them being done. So we're just going to dredge these in our starch. Like I said at the beginning, we use tapioca starch for this. You can use whatever you prefer. You can use flour. You can use cornstarch. You can use rice starch, potato starch, whatever works for you. But you do want some kind of starchy coating on the outside. It's going to give it that beautiful crispness on the outside. Otherwise, you can just let them dry out basically overnight if you want. It's a long time. We prefer to do it this way, just to give them a little dredge of starch and get that nice crispy outside. We're going to turn them over one time through the course of our cooking here. So we're going to hit these at a quite high temperature for a quite short frying time, honestly. We just want to cook them until they're a little bit golden brown and nice and crispy on the outside. We don't have to worry about them being done all the way through because they're already cooked. That's the beauty of the sous vide method. We're just going to give that a little sprinkle of salt now that they've come out of the oil. And then we're going to make our hot sauce. So here's the what's left of the hot sauce. So this is the strained liquid plus, that little bit that came off the strainer, plus that melted butter from the beginning. And you want to try and stream it in and whisk it together because it will emulsify somewhat. Now, as with most sauces of this type, the butter is going to break out eventually. And, when you get hot wings at a restaurant, you get that little pool of broken sauce at the bottom of the basket. It's harder to tell because, of course, they usually serve it on paper. We're serving it on a plate, so you'll be able to see it. But so we're just going to give that a light little toss in that hot sauce. And if you feel like there's some that aren't getting quite enough, then, just get in there with your tongs and make sure that they get a nice coating. Now, the beauty of doing this with that starch on there was once these were coated, they were still delightfully crispy. So that starch does soak up a little bit of this sauce, but it doesn't lose its crispiness. It stays nice and crispy. You still get that nice flavor. Now, these were quite hot because there was a little bit of ghost pepper and scorpion peppers in there. So they were quite hot, but once you get in there with that blue cheese dip that we've got there, which, has nicely come together now, and even the butter, it really calms it down a little bit, and that's it. That's the whole thing. Those are ready to serve as soon as they come out of that fryer and you've had a chance to dredge them in that, or toss them in that beautiful sauce, which is hot sauce and butter. Can't go wrong. If you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe, and if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. We'd like to thank our patrons over on Patreon. I'll put a link for that in the description below as well if you'd like to support us there. And remember to love your food.